The teams were announced yesterday for the Collingwood-Geelong match. Let's get into them. Before we jump straight into them, a couple of housekeeping things for the channel. I've just released that Jack Crisp documentary, one of my favorite videos that I've made on the channel. So definitely watch that if you can. And I've interviewed our president, Barry Karp. So that's absolutely huge, right? And they're part 1 and part 2 are on the channel as well. And I'll try and link them around here. And of course, merchandise is available. Best way to help support the channel. Now, let's talk about these team changes. So we'll start with Geelong because it's a pretty simple swap. Mitch Duncan comes into the team for his first game of 2025, and coming out is Tom Stewart. Has that bit of a knee injury. That's huge, right? I know he didn't do much last week, but Tom Stewart out, who's one of their best players, one of the best, players in the league. That gives me a lot of confidence, more confidence going into this game that he's not playing. Brian Myers didn't come up from that concussion that he got from Connor Nash on Easter Monday, so they just make that one change. And look, there's obviously going to be a late change, or maybe the mind game is that there's not going to be a late change. I didn't see who their emergencies were, but I'll just check it now. So their emergencies were Closey, Stevens, and Koladashian. I think Koladashian. I think that's the. Oh, that's good. Kardashian. I think that'll be probably the only guy they could bring in out of those three. It could be Jake Kardashian, because I know that I was reading through the comments and people were like, "Oh, where's Kohler? Where's Kohler?" So that could be, they could swing a late change, maybe Mullen out for Jake. I don't really know, but no Tom Stewart is absolutely huge for us. Now, looking at our team, so we have 3 players coming in. So Mason Cox, Lockie Schultz, and Darcy Moore. Going out, Jeremy Howe is managed, and obviously, old age, we understand that. McStay with his injury, and then Lockie Sullivan, of course, for being omitted. Now, Lockie Sullivan, that's fair enough in the sense that he was omitted for the team because he didn't play a lot last week. Because, again, that sub rule just has to go. I say this every week, but I absolutely hate it. It doesn't help the development of players that they come in for the game, they do all the warm-ups, they play a quarter, they play 15 minutes, then they're off, then they're playing VFL. I think it's so bloody stupid and detrimental to just their health of the game and the players themselves. McStay with his injury, and Jeremy Howe gets managed. So, like I just said before, Jeremy Howe, bit of old age, and Fly has been saying throughout the course of this year so far, these old guys will be managed. They will be managed. We're going to look after them. I'm hearing from the grapevine, and I don't know, I think I've got a pretty good source, is that Will Hoskin-Elliott will start as the sub, and from what I hear, if there's no injuries or anything like that, Tim Membry might be the guy that gets subbed out for Will Hoskin-Elliott in that game. We'll just see how that goes. But I think those ins are absolutely huge. So Darcy Moore obviously takes the place of Jeremy Howe. Now, I think, with their forward line, with Cameron, I don't really rate Neil too much. And then Dangerfield, it's probably because they're a smaller forward line that we don't need those 3 tall intercept marking defenders. So I can kind of see why you can get rid of one of those guys just to give them a rest. I'm happy Billy Frampton is still playing, and I'm very happy that Darcy Moore comes up. If Darcy Moore wasn't available, obviously Jeremy Howe plays, so it's good that we do have that depth, and we're 6-1, so we can start resting these players when we need to. Mason Cox comes in as a straight swap for Dan McStay. We sort of said that second ruck, going up against Reece Stanley and who talks about DeConing will probably chop him out a little bit as well. So that makes sense, and they're trying to exploit that back line. So I just need Mason Cox to perform. I want him to stay in the team. I'd love for him to perform. And then Lockie Schultz comes back. We haven't seen Lockie Schultz since that incredible game against Carlton, and he's done his hamstring, and he's been out for 3 weeks, and we finally get him back. And I hope he hasn't lost a step. Being at training all week this week and seeing him on Tuesday and Thursday, it doesn't look like he's lost a step. So I'm very, very, very happy for that. Now, while I've got you, right, I said grapevine and take this with a grain of salt, but I'm hearing that next week against Fremantle, there are going to be a bunch of changes. I'll hear more after this game, but I'm hearing that a few more players are going to get managed because it's a 5-day break and we're going over to Perth. But that's just a little bit of an Easter egg. But all in all, these changes give me a lot of confidence, even more confidence going into this game. Like I was confident, but now that it's been sort of confirmed, I think I'm still thinking 25, 30 plus points against Geelong on Saturday night. I just feel it inside my stomach. But quick team talk. Let me know your thoughts down below. Until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, Double Shackers, I'll swoop you later.